Hi, I'm Nancy March. I'm the editor of the Mercury, and I'm here today with Jake Towne, who is running as an independent in the 15th Congressional District. Jake, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your decisions of why to run, particularly to run as an independent?
Sure. Thanks a lot for inviting me, Nancy. I much appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. My background, I've worked as a chemical engineer for the past 8 years. I grew up in the district in Nazareth and Bethlehem. I attended Lehigh University. I got a degree in chemical engineering and was working in the semiconductor industry. For the last 4 years, I was working abroad in Shanghai, China, and I'd never really been political of any type until I moved there. And what I saw over there is people just don't have the same civil liberties that we have here in the United States. And at first, I thought, well, our country is a lot better. But the more I got into it and the more I looked back at our country, I saw those civil liberties and also our economic freedoms being eroded. And when the banker bailout occurred in 2008, I just got to be very upset because here was the government, both Republicans and Democrats, both, sending taxpayer money out to Goldman Sachs and all these investment banks, and I got to be very upset. And I decided that if someone didn't stand up and do something, our whole country will be lost. And I think that where we're going with the dollar and everything is really towards a crisis. So I decided to come back to where my family is and run for office.
Are you running for office full time or are you still working in industry?
That's a great question. I'm running as full time, so I resigned my position. Again, it was over abroad in China, and while I was over there, I kind of saw firsthand a lot of the practices that the American government does to actually subsidize the exportation of American jobs abroad. And I got to be pretty upset with that as well. And I think that when you're running for something like United States Congress, you really kind of need to go after it full time, meet with the people, and it's quite a bit of work too. So especially a lot of I don't have a single paid volunteer or any paid staff, so it really comes down to grassroots volunteers, and also a lot of work on my end.
You're running as an independent, which means you also don't have the support of either the Republican or Democratic national committees. Is that by choice, or did you not get their endorsement and then decide to run as an independent?
Sure. Since I started the campaign, I've been registered independent, and the reason why I'm doing that, because like you mentioned, in terms of like financial support, it might not necessarily be a great thing, but in terms of like ideas and principles, what I've said is I do not and will never accept in my running as a politician. For office, I will never accept corporate PAC donations. I will never accept lobbyist donations, which both of my competitors do. And I think that what we really have in the United States is a two-headed one-party system. I mean, you have the Republicans on the right, and they talk about, oh, we're fiscally conservative, and then when they actually get into office, like during the Bush years, they expanded the size of the federal government by 70%. They nearly doubled it. And then you have the Democrats on the so-called left that claim to protect people's civil liberties and to stop the wars in Iraq. And when they get into office, what do? They expand the war in Afghanistan. The Patriot Act, which takes warrantless wiretapping and a whole bunch of other civil liberty violations, they complained about incessantly under the President Bush for 7 years, and they get into office, and what do? Nothing. Well, as a matter of fact, they reauthorize it. So there's really no difference between the two parties. And what I also tell people is, it's kind of like your choice between arsenic or cyanide. Both of the parties are leading our country to economic ruin. And one party says, our arsenic tastes great, their cyanide will kill you, and vice versa. The reality is both of it isn't going to work for the American people, and that's why I decided to run.
That's a very refreshing perspective to all of us who are tired of political ads and tired of disappointment, which we read about a lot in our Sound Off column. Can you talk just briefly about the 15th Congressional District, as you and I were talking about before we went on air, about how it stretches down into this area and what the communities are that you cover, that the district includes in the Mercury's readership area?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great question because kind of what the government has done is taken a pizza cutter to all of Montgomery County. The 15th Congressional District covers all of Northampton County, about 95% of Lehigh County, and then little bits of Berks and Montgomery. Berks County, it covers the area near Kempton and Hawk Mountain, and also down near Bali off of Route 100. In terms of the area that would be a bit closer to where we are right now, Upper Pottsgrove is in the district along 663 from Pottstown to the Turnpike is in the district, covers East Greenville, Pennsburg, and then there's another little area that goes down and covers like Telford and Souderton. I believe that's correct, yes.
It's an interesting challenge too. It's a very diverse area. I think you've already answered why you're running and what some of the highlights of your professional and political background are. Um, what are you hearing from residents? I'm sure that you're getting out to functions and you're knocking on doors around the area. What are people telling you, and particularly in response to your positions as an independent?
Thank you very much. That's a great question. One of the things that I found in the media doesn't quite come out, and what's come out from me just going around and door knocking is that I'd probably say 80 to 90% of the people, when they reply on the parties, they're very disenchanted with both the Republicans and the Democrats, and they don't believe their parties really represent the American people. And someone the other day kind of said it best, and what they said is that to be able to do is again work with both these parties, towards solutions that are in line with my principles and what the people in the district really want. And one of the ideas that I have that's extremely popular with residents is when I get elected, I'll be putting in place something called the open office. And the way the open office works is it's novel. It doesn't exist right now, but it's very, very simple because the whole problem is the representatives, I feel, don't really listen to the people. And the way that the open office works is every time it's an online forum, but if you call in, everything will be recorded as well. And any House floor bill will have its own web page, and people would comment in, for or against, leave their opinion in the space below. There'd be a phone tally for people calling in, so people's voice would be recorded. It wouldn't just go into a black hole. I would read through that feedback before voting, and then after I vote, it's not exactly rocket science, but what I'll tell people is not just how I voted, but also why I voted. So that way they'll always have a reason, and if they ever disagree, they can go in and write, Jake, I disagree with you here, or I agree with you here, or whatever they really want. And the open office has a few other ideas as well. Residents will have a way to summon me to an on-demand town hall. So if people, not just one or two people, but say, 50 or whatever, they have a certain topic, they want to summon me, I'm their public representative. I am their servant. And the whole idea is they should have the ability to call me, and even if I disagree with what they're going to say, listen to what they have, because I think there's no higher duty of a representative than to do that. There'll also be a way for residents to submit bills online, whether they want to revoke a current bill or propose a new bill. And they have a constitutional right to do that already. All I'm doing is providing a public mechanism for them in order to do it. And by doing this, I hope to make the office both transparent and accountable, and not have those words just be buzzwords. Because when politicians talk about them all the time, they just use it as buzzwords, and they don't actually mean anything, and they don't back it up with anything of substance. As being an engineer, the way I think is, you have a problem, you solve it. You don't just, give verbal platitudes to these topics.
I was waiting for you to use the word transparency. um, We at the Mercury are doing a 8-part series this week in our paper called Stimulus Tracker, in which we are taking an in-depth look at the $787 billion stimulus package and where it accomplished things and where it didn't. We're doing it with our sister papers in the Journal Register Company as a national project, so it's pretty interesting. What do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that so many people are still unemployed after all of that money has been spent?
No, that's a great question. And in January of 2009, I wrote an article why the stimulus plan will fail and a better alternative. So in that article, I described not only why economic central planning just doesn't work, but also the alternatives that we could kind of do to actually stimulate the economy. And just real briefly, when you have an economic stimulus, you need to realize, there's one law, which is that it can be summed up in three words: government has nothing. Like, for the government to first take from somebody else, first give to someone, they have to take it from somebody else. So there's always no net gain when government is trying to do these things and these projects. And there's some things, on a local level, such as roads and highways and bridges and that sort of thing, where things might, you can at least say, well, I have this bridge, but government is not equipped with a profit loss mechanism to decide, on certain things in terms of a market economy, what goods and services to produce. It's just pretty ridiculous. When I read through what the government put together on the stimulus plan, they're trying to map out exactly how many people are going to work in the mining sector, how many people are going to work in the logging sector, how many people are going to work in IT. And that type of economic central planning is I can kind of correlate to my experience in communist China. Like, economic central planning just doesn't work. And over the past 2 years or 3 years, it's been pretty amazing how far we've kind of slipped away from, now with all these corporate bailouts and all these other things. But to get back to actually stimulate jobs and actually to stimulate the economy, what I believe needs to be done is, number one, you have to realize what the root cause is. The root cause is actually the government's interventions in the economy. And when you go through the regulatory laws, the labor laws, and the tax laws, and you just ask yourself one question: do these laws encourage or discourage employment? And if they discourage employment, you need to consider amending them or altering them, or just removing them altogether. And for instance, one of the things on the taxation side, because what these politicians come up to, and you might be interviewing my competitors, look at them and say, oh, we have this federal jobs program, or we're going to print up some money and we're going to spend it over here to see if it works. And again, there's no net gain. Government's not equipped to do it, and it's also very corrupt. Like, basically the lobbyists are kind of the ones that tend to actually get a lot of some money out there. But for instance, like the income tax. If the income taxes destimulates people to work because the government's taking away your money. And what a lot of people don't realize is that you could abolish and you could remove the federal personal income tax for 50% of the population of the United States, and it would only take away 3% of the total income that tax brings in. So that's one of the things that you could do very easily, is just raise the amount exempted, really for everyone. But what it would do is would help out the poor and the middle class that are getting the hardest hit by all these government interventions and joblessness. And there's certain things that government does play a role in. It does play a role in creating a sound business environment. What I say is, governments cannot create sustainable jobs. Only people and the businesses that consist of the people can do that. And that's one of the other things that is very important in terms of like job creation, is to actually let people have the choices to do things.
How about healthcare reform? The other